Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of the committee, Central Committee. We're about to start our Central Committee meeting for today. I hereby call the meeting to order for today, Thursday, the 30th day of April, 2026. Extend cordial welcome to the members of the committee, the commissioners, and to those present in the public areas and those following us by radio, Facebook, and other online platforms. This meeting of the Central Committee is duly convened in accordance with Article 8 of the Rules of Order of the Island Council Committee Ordinance. Agenda point number 2 is announcements. And Councilman Van Putten is absent with notice, and also Council Lady Lopes-Spanner, also absent with notice. Are there any other announcements from committee members? No indication of announcements, and we go to agenda point number 3. The published agenda reads as follows: 1. Opening. 2. Announcements. 3. Setting of the agenda. 4. Ratification list of incoming documents. 5. Ratification list of decisions and commitments of our meeting of March 19, 2026. Number 6 is the Court of Audit Annual Report. Number 7, Cooperation Agreement, Bonaire and St. Eustatius. Number 8, Announcements, Executive Council. And number 9 is Closing. Are there any other adjustments to the agenda from the members? No? Then I want to propose that agenda point number 7 be removed from this agenda because this item is not yet ready for handling in the Central Committee. That's the agenda point, Joint Cooperation Agreement between Bonaire and St. Eustatius. So that document is not yet ready for handling and will be dealt with in a future meeting. So if there are no other changes to the agenda, then we will adopt the agenda as read. Okay, so the agenda now will read: number 1, opening. 2, announcements. 3, setting of the agenda. 4, ratification list incoming documents. 5, ratification list decisions and commitments of the 19th of March 2026. Number 6, Court of Audit Annual Report 2025. And number 7 will be announcements of the Executive Council, and number 8 will be the closing. So without objection, we will adopt the agenda as adjusted. Agenda point number 4, ratification list of incoming documents. In the documents received, you will find a list of incoming documents for the Central Committee. Are there any comments, adjustments on the list of incoming documents? Councilman Van Simmons.
Yeah, Van Simmons. Good afternoon and thank you. There is one that I would like to mention, document 041-26. I see tax collected by Holland on Station 21 to 24. Every time I see these kind of documents, I just find it quite interesting the way it presented. The document reads, Chapter Physical Development in St. Eustatius 2021 and 2026. And when you read through the documents, they sort of report, but it is good if you get the information where you could see for yourself. You know, it's like, it get the impression, you know, I hate to mention it, like you hiding information in between the lines. And I just had to basically put that on record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons. Anyone else on the incoming documents list? Council Lady Spanner, Carty.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. Just for clarification purposes, was the document Councilman Simmons refers to not sent to the council? We did receive the document, according to me. So you're referring to not having seen it. Could you specify what you mean for public consumption?
Okay, it's not how it's seen, it's how it's presented. So normally you would present figures, you know, you present 2021, 22, 23, 24, and it's presented as it's a report, someone's telling a story, but you know, we're dealing with information. The story is nice, but we need to know, you say numbers had dropped, numbers has gone up, give us the information like that. And plus, when you look at the document I have in, it's not even clear who wrote the document. You know, it says chapter, so I assume it's taken from some other document.
Okay, so you're just commenting on the documents and no changes. The document can stay in the list.
Yes, I'm just highlighting
I understand.
how these information is
Yes, I
come
understand.
over. It looks very strange.
Okay, thank you. Council Lady Spanner, that's it for you. All right, if there are no other objections, then I suggest we approve the list as presented. Then we move to agenda point number 5, ratification list of decisions and commitments of the 19th of March 2026. Are there any comments, remarks on the list of decisions from March 19? So I assume the details are in EMAPs. We don't have a summary? So why we don't have the summary here? So can we go ahead and confirm this as presented? I understand from the Griffier there is a summary, and that's available, I guess, on request. Okay. All right, so without objection, we're going to approve the list of decisions and commitments of our meeting of March 19. Let me move to agenda point number 6, Court of Audit Annual Report 2025. For this agenda point, we will be handling the Annual Court of Audit Report 2025 in accordance with Article 186, Paragraph 3 of the WALBES. The Court of Audit must submit its annual report from the previous year by the 1st of April. This report helps the Council to gain proper insight into their activities and findings throughout the past year. This document contributes to understanding the role of the Court of Audit and guarantees transparency, accountability, and integrity of the public entity of St. Eustatius. To gain further insight into this agenda point, I will ask the commissioners if they would like to provide additional information to this agenda point before the Court of Audit makes its presentation. Commissioner Leerdam?
Mr. Chairman, no, I don't have any comments.
Nothing to input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay then, now we welcome then the members of the Court of Audit of St. Eustatius. Assume you're all hearing me loud and clear. Yes. Okay, so welcome, and you're here today to present your annual report 2025. So I give the word to the Court of Audit to make your presentation or introductory remarks.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, members of the Central Committee, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. St. Eustatius, it is my privilege to present our annual report for 2025, which we have been doing every year, to report the activities of the Court of Audit through the year. This year, I could say is a special one because it marks 5 years since the Island Council took the formal decision to establish a local Court of Audit here on St. Eustatius. So in addition to reporting on what we did this past year, I want to take a moment also to reflect on how far we have come as a Court of Audit. When the Island Council adopted the besluit in 2020 to establish a local Court of Audit, St. Eustatius, basically the Court of Audit in Statia took the lead among the Basque Islands. A joint Court of Audit for Bonaire, Sava, and Statia had been envisaged under the WALBES as far back as 2010. But it was Statia that moved forward and made it a reality. A temporary court was appointed first, and on March 10, 2022, the current court, the 3 of us that you see today, officially commenced our work. So 5 years on, we believe St. Eustatius can take pride in something meaningful, a small municipality with an independent Court of Audit that is active, visible, and delivering results. Since 2020, which we also mentioned in our report, we have provided 4 audit reports, 1 under the previous court, and 3 comprehensive audits under the current court. We also have developed a progress meter, which allows to follow up systematically on how the Executive Council acts on our findings and recommendations. And we encourage to see that our reports are being taken into account as well through these reports. For those that are familiar with our work, the Court of Audit is established under the Island Ordinance 2020, and we act as an independent guardian of the financial interests of St. Eustatius, conducting performance audit and compliance audit on the use of public funds. So let me turn now to our audit work, which we have reported in our audit report. In 2025, we published the performance audit on the recruitment and selection process of the public entity, covering the period from the second half of 2020 through the end of 2023. We looked at 3 components: the compliance, the efficiency, and effectiveness, and we set out to answer 2 critical questions during that audit. The first one was if the recruitment process for the civil servant live up to the principle of transparency, objectivity, and compliance with applicable laws and policies. And the second question was, does the process actually support the goal of recruiting and retaining a sufficiently staffed skilled civil service so that the island government can deliver on its responsibilities to the community? This conclusion of this report we have presented already in a previous presentation. We have highlighted this also in our audit report. And in 2025, besides this conducted audit, we also commenced a next audit in September 2025, and that was the performance audit on the permitting issuance process with an in-depth review of the business license process. In that performance audit, we tried to answer the main question: what does the overall permitting process of the public entity look like? And to what extent is the business license process administered in a manner that is lawful, efficient, transparent, and fair? The audit reached first draft stage in 2025. Moving forward, of course, we have already completed this audit. In 2025, we reported as well that we focused also on engagement and visibility, because a code of audit is only as effective as the trust and understanding around it. So in 2025, we invested in visibility and engagement. In January, Member Gerald Burkle addressed the General Assembly of Civil Servants, presenting the role of the court and how the audit process works. We engaged a local communication partner, the duo branded Anastasia, to support our outreach through social media. And in November, we conducted a 5-day stakeholder mission to the island. Over those 5 days, we met with different stakeholders, including the Executive Council, the Island Council, other stakeholders such as the New Challenge Foundation, the Gwendoline Van Putten School Board, the Integrity Chamber, the Social Affairs Directorate, the Chamber of Commerce, and the St. Eustatius Farmers Foundation. We also conducted a field visit to the Stuco Solar Park to learn about the agrivoltaics project. The centerpiece of that mission in 2025 was the workshop we delivered for the civil servant with the title Through the Lens of the Auditor. About 7 civil servants from across the department were through our real audit topic with us. And it was a hands-on workshop, it was practical, and it gave us a valuable input on what civil servants themselves believe deserves audit attention in the years ahead. This workshop we considered as a pilot in which we took learnings for future capacity building and increasing the understanding of the work that we do so as the Code of Audit to increase our effectiveness. In total, we reported as well in our report that in 2025 we held 20 internal court meetings, 6 external stakeholder meetings, 3 Island Council meetings, and 4 meetings with government officials. So then now let me turn to the financials. In line with Article 7 of our Island Ordinance, the approved budget by the Island Council in 2025 was $84,223 USD, from which 79.5 was used and 21% is a surplus. I want to be explicit about what is the surplus means and what it does not mean, especially because in the previous year as well there were always a surplus from our side. And it's important to mention that it does not reflect work that did not happen. The only exception in 2025 was the training, and this has to do with not finding a suitable training that met the budget item. So there was no point in actually using a training that is not applicable for the court. The surplus reflects 3 things: prudent budgeting. So we deliberately budget travel and audit fees on the higher side to absorb price shocks. So the 10,000 that we asked is basically on the high side, but that is intentionally because tickets can change, and we also gave a room for possible extraordinary travel that may be requested from us. If I go by line item, the marketing and communication was fully utilized, $3,600, and it was primarily for our social media work with dual branded. Here I want to mention that it's purely on heavy negotiations, which in time we will have to evaluate if social media management expenses will remain the same. Membership and subscription, 1,156 was used out of the 173. That covers our membership to the Verenigde Rekenkamers and also our Microsoft subscription, which is the email that we use, and our online platform for communication. The travel and accommodation, as mentioned before, it's about 50% use of the budget, and that has to do again with being conservative with price changes and also considering the limited connection that often may require overnight stays between Aruba, St. Martin, and Statia, especially from Aruba. With regards to administrative support, 9,984 was used of the 11,400 with services from local company, Exquisite BV. We were able to negotiate a monthly fee, and that also is a gain in terms of the budget that was not utilized. When it comes to the external audit support, so far that this item seems that every year we have utilized the whole external audit support based on our best estimates. However, this year, as you can see, there is a huge or a significant surplus when it comes to the audit. The audit of the permitting process cost 19,421 of the 30,000 that was provided as a budget. And again, it's not because of not doing the work, but basically being able to get a value for money vendor. When it comes to the process, 2 offers were received from a list of 9 RFPs or vendors that were contacted. So 2 applied, and from which we decided to use Primarium. Important though is to mention that the amounts when it comes to particular audit vary every year, and this year again, and it depends on the scope of work and the vendor. With this in mind, the Court of Audit has decided as well to start choosing audit subjects earlier on during the year. For example, we already started selecting our audit team this month for the 2027 audit to have a more accurate view of the scope of work when submitting our budget for 2027. But so far, as indicated, the external audit budget has been used fully for the audits, with exception of this particular audit of the permitting audit process that was lower than budgeted. When it comes to training, as mentioned, it's 0, and this has to do with not being able to identify a suitable training opportunity for this year. Of course, when it comes to the remuneration of the court members, the 26,400, this was fully utilized as per the Island Council resolution of December 14, 2023. I would also like to underline that the Court of Audit has, throughout 2025, strictly adhered to its itemized budget. So no surplus on any individual line item has been reallocated or used to compensate spending on another item. So each line was managed within its own approved limit. And also one technical note on the egalisatiereserve, which we have mentioned also in the annual report, which we refer as the equalization reserve, which is mentioned under Article 5 of our ordinance, which mentions that we can allocate 40% of our unspent budget to this reserve. We have been in touch with the Department of Finance to confirm the amount and the start date of this reserve, whether it applies retroactively from 2022 or from 2025. That clarification is still pending, and we haven't received a fully confirmation, but we understood that this is being discussed. So far, the Court of Audit has not received a confirmation of this reserve from Finance in that sense. Why is this important? Because the confirmation of the existence of this reserve will help the court to identify if there are possibilities to tap into the audit reserves in the case that audit expenses are more than what is being allocated as a budget. This will also assist us in determining whether there is room for conducting more audits based on surpluses that are being reserved for audit fluctuations. So far, as you can see, we have not had the need to actually tap into these reserves, but it's something to consider in the future. So looking ahead, honorable council members, looking forward, we will continue to position the Court of Audit, St. Eustatius, as a key institution for safeguarding transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. We are very much encouraged by the growing familiarity with our work in the community, and we are also encouraged by the feedback that our reports are landing and making a difference. I want to close with a word of appreciation, especially since this report is the 5th year of the Court of Audit since its establishment. We want to appreciate the openness, cooperation, and financial support of the Island Council, which has been essential for the work and being available in providing us the funds that we need to do our work. We want to thank you for that. And if there are any other questions with regards to the annual report, we certainly would like to have this answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mevrouw de Kort, for that presentation on your annual report. Well, I want to thank the Court of Audit in general for the report. The report is very comprehensive, easily written, so it's easy read for, I hope for most in the public, and also for your emphasis in the last year of public engagement, informing the population at large as to the work of the Court of Audit, so that folks out there also get a better understanding of your role in the whole financial process. So thank you again for the report as presented to us. So we'll go into deliberation here, and if the members have questions, they will direct them to you. As per usual, we will deliberate usually in 2 rounds of discussions. Time limit is usually 20 minutes and 10, but usually we don't utilize as much, but I can't predict for the members here today. So we will start our deliberation. I will give the floor to Councilman Derek Simmons in this first term on the agenda points, the 2025 year report of the Court of Audit. Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, thank you. And I too would like to thank the members of the Court of Audit for a well-written report. There's one thing in the foreword, and I constantly find myself have to highlight this. The 3rd paragraph, as a small municipality, we are not a municipality. And the reason why, in documents like this, you have to delete those words and make sure you use the correct terms, because I see often, especially in high levels presentation, these words, especially when it comes to English, they use the wrong form, and they use the term municipality, and that words have a certain meaning, which we are not. I thank you for that detail about the surplus, because I always look, a budget is basically a financial plan, and it could change, and you explain how you basically budget higher than budget too less, because not having enough will run into some major problems. So I appreciate that, because often you don't get that kind of explanation in reports, and so when it comes times to cut, because it seems prices go up and they don't go down, things get more expensive, and then maybe with the coming budget you need to increase it, and then someone's going to ask, why do we have to increase while every year you have a surplus? So you probably should cut your budget. But so those kind of explanations to me is very important, because for persons to understand that, hey, you need to budget, you need to have it there, because if you don't have it, then you can run into problems, and you won't be able to carry out the activity just because you have a budget overrun. And so those are I didn't really have much questions, but it's more or less comments on the report, and I appreciate the detailed and the time and effort you all took forward into putting such a document together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Simmons. Council Lady Spanakati.
Good afternoon, Court of Audit. I too would like to echo some of the sentiments regarding the thank you for the report, but also congratulations. It's been 5 years, and we have proven time and time again that your information is prudent to our functioning as a government. I had some questions for both you and the commissioner. I was interested in the lack of suitable opportunities for you all to find training. I was wondering if it was location or it was just the available areas that you all are looking into. I'm just curious as to where your interest lies. I also would like to know if the commissioner can provide us an update on the egaliteitsreserve, which was mentioned in the presentation of Ms. DeCourt. I also have a concern regarding the last audit on the recruitment and selection, especially for public consumption. The report highlights a serious weakness in our recruitment process. These are things that we have discussed often, especially seeing that we have a vergrijzing. We need capable staff. We also know that we have a shortage of personnel within government. But it states here that the key issues are non-compliance with committee composition rules, candidates that were hired who did not meet vacancy criteria, documentation gaps that undermine transparency, structural challenges, which is a high turnover, the aging workforce that I already mentioned, and a limited talent pool, and dependence on external staff. Also, the 4I principle is not really functioning. Now, the Court of Audit has developed a progress meter, and I'm wondering how soon we will be evaluating this, Commissioner, to know how well we are doing in this. I find it concerning when we hire people, knowing that they don't meet the vacancy or the criteria. That means subpar functioning is to be expected, and we just cannot afford to have that. We already went extensively into the permitting and the business licensing presentation that we were given a few weeks ago. But there was one area that I'm curious about, which is the stakeholder experience, and if the commissioner can let us know of any, let me rephrase that, of how the stakeholders experience, especially in a negative sense, how they are being handled when it comes to the permitting issuance. Okay, thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councillor Lady Spanakati. All right, so that will conclude our first round of deliberation. Commissioner Leerdam, do you want to make any comment here at this time? Commissioner Leerdam.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone listening. Mr. Chairman, point of clarification. Can I get the first question again? The surplus on the...
The egaliteitsreserve. Ms. DeCourt said she was in contact herself with the Department of Finance, but it still didn't give her a final...
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Merkman's staff is going to reach out to Finance to call and find an answer for that one. Based on the audit report of the recruitment policy, that dated from 2020 to 2023, and that's the years that they covered. I believe that since we have, we have been making much strides since then. The progress meter will be very good in terms of an indicator, because it did also show us the progress meter in terms of the unveiling and the recommendations that what we would would accept then, because maybe everything we don't find ourselves into, so what we will find ourselves into, we will implement. We have since then improved our recruitment processes, and also, is there, they're gone. A time, can I continue, Mr. Chairman, or you want to wait?
Hold on a minute,
Okay.
please, so we can see if we can get it up again. So for the public, we have a little technical interruption here, trying to get our video communication back on screen. Okay, we're back up. Sorry for that interruption. Commissioner Leerdam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so as I was saying, we have definitely improved on our recruitment processes. We have been working with Bezitka as well. They have provided some financial assistance for us to get certain things in order with processes. It's now fully digital. So from the time the vacancy goes out to application, even down to the hiring, is now all synchronized in Avast. So we are moving a bit more better in the digital infrastructure. In terms of the other aspects of not meeting criterias, I think it's a case-by-case situation. Maybe there may be one or two persons that maybe lack one of two areas that we feel that we can build upon and give maybe local talent within the government the opportunity for growth, but on a triac. And I think certain cases that is taken into account. So you may not fully reach your requirement, but we look within and see that there's talent and room for growth, and then we would put persons on a track now, I don't know, from 2020 to 2023. But that is the direction that we are going. So you may see that even at present, you may have one or two persons that may not meet the criteria, but there's a reason why, because we feel that with additional training and putting a triac, you would be suited for the job. And with the vergrazing is a serious issue. We had about 4 or 5 persons already for a year is on retirement, and a few more to go. The HR department is actively working on, again, a plan for that. They are hopefully supposed to be in the final stages of that process. And it also means that looking within as well as working without. There was a labor research market done because there was a motion passed as well about that. So they're trying to finalize, integrate everything together basically. But we are trying to see how we can deal with that issue internally with the talented growth, and we can basically, see talent that we can basically put them in a triac and grow, because we want also persons within government to be able to grow and not always bring in from the outside, whether they're local stations or not, but we want to also give everybody a fair opportunities for growth. So if you're sitting there and you can work in for the last 10, 15 years, you have the experience, but maybe, like I said, you're missing something, we want to be able to give persons the opportunity to grow within government. Not everybody will be able to grow above, but at least when the opportunity presents itself, we want to allow that. And I think that was also discussed in Island Council. What are we doing for persons within government for growth as well? I believe that we should come to the Central Committee. I will discuss with the team to see how far they are, and we can come in a central open door meeting to present, where we are right now in terms of our recruitment process and personnel, and look at the progress meter to see how far we have come and making the recommendations that were given to the Executive Council based on the audit. But we have made a lot of strides already in the process of HR. Number one, we got additional personnel. And that was a big help, so we can tackle the personnel issues and all other things that comes along. When it comes to the stakeholder experience, I would say that, and also in the report, we have not been doing that well. I think that persons have not really use the tools that they have to really complain when we don't comply with business licenses. And we were discussing that with VTH to see what do we do in the future, because we should be able to comply in that manner when we do not meet the time frame for business licenses. I think the stakeholdership would be more of, they may reach out to council members or commissioners and say, hey, you know what, I did this, I haven't had it for a while, but I don't think we have anything in writing as it pertains to the negative experience that they felt going through the process of obtaining a business license and not meeting the deadline. But since then, and the recommendations that we found, we, like I said, we have a cutoff date. So if we are missing an advice from a department, basically for spatial planning, we have a cutoff date. Instead, we will just not continue with that, and we just continue with the process so we can meet the deadline for the business license. The reason why we like to have a holistic approach, because you have more eyes on it. Spatial planning basically says if it's a good idea you put there, it's a neighborhood, they have noise, it look at all different factors as well, and they would advise and say, okay, it can go there, but I would recommend don't do this, don't do that. And those recommendations are also taken up in the business licenses when they are issued. So it's nice to have it. In discussion with the audit chamber, they were saying it is not really a requirement, but government has it as part of their process, so it can be a holistic approach towards issuing the licenses. So we are hoping that we have make improvements on that, but to continue making improvements that we do not pass the date, because by rights person will have the right to start their business. The law is there. They just don't do it, and we never experience it, so we don't even have any experience where a person's just started and then we had to conform. But we don't want to fall in that category either, but we also want to, if we fall in that category, understand what the right procedure be and be able to execute it. I think I'll come back on the question when he get the answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also too want to commend the audit chamber. 5 years passed very quickly on the work they have been doing and the visibility. We as a government tried as well to ensure that the civil servants understand the importance of the audit chamber and that they will get some, I would say, better, quicker response when they have to do their research. So we invited them into the assembly for the year. They give a presentation to all the civil servants, and they make their awareness a bit more known within government. So we're ensuring too that we can try to smooth the process. Audits are not the nicest to hear. Audit is something very scary. It tells you basically, you feel like what you're doing wrong, but it also gives you room to improve. So we try to look at it from that angle and look to see how we can improve the areas that they have observed and we can find ourselves into as well that needs of improving and work towards this. Some of these will not happen 1, 2, 3. I mean, need more personnel or more capacity training, but definitely in areas where we can have short wins, we definitely try to reach those short wins. Okay. Before, Mr. Chairman, if we can get a bit more explanation on the question, what the equalization is about, then we get some from the Rekenkamer. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Leerdam. We'll now hear from the audit chamber for reaction to the questions that were posed, and the commissioners asking a further explanation on the egalisatie reserve. Yes, mevrouw de Kort. You have the floor. Yes, go ahead, mevrouw de Kort.
Yes, thank you very much. I took note of Ms. Spanner's questions regarding the lack of suitable training. Just to explain or elaborate a little bit more on that. So basically the way we try to allocate that budget is we have 2 ways. The first way is that we allocate a training budget for each member. So the budget that we had in 2025 was 1,650. So you can imagine if I take that and divide it in 3, That means that around about $500, $600 per member is being budgeted there. That's the one option. Or the second option is that we try to find a training that can suit all three of us so that we can make better use of that budget. So as I mentioned before, we are very focused on negotiating and trying to take the best return of each dollar. But in that specific budget, when it comes to training, it has proven that it's not always easy to find training for all three at that budget amount, so the 1,650. In the past, we were able to get some, but sometimes we don't. And we're trying to keep that low in comparison with other items. For example, the marketing and communication and the training are the two items that are always very tight, to be honest. But we try our best to keep it as such. Because our focus is more on making sure that the most of the budget goes on the allocation for audits. So because of that, any increase that we want, we rather have it in that item, in the external support. And because of that, then we have actually a less realistic budget when it comes to the training. But again, as I said, sometimes we're able to get trainings on that budget and sometimes not. So the lack of suitable training is mostly has to do with the suitability within that budget that we have. So there are suitable trainings out there, but much more expensive. And so that's the choice that we made to adhere to that line items. As I mentioned before, we are not reallocating or benefiting or any other surpluses in other items. So because of that, we just maintain the 1,650 with basically the consequence as well that not every training just fits that budget. So that is basically the explanation for that specific item.
Any other reaction to other questions? The commissioner was also asking if you can give a further explanation on the egalisatiereserve. If you can hold on a minute, because the commissioner is in a side room there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically the egalisatiereserve, it's mentioned under Article 5 of the ordinance. So it's something that was already established, and it mentions that at the end of the year, when we have, for example, a surplus, that surplus can be allocated up to 40% of the unspent budget for a reserve. And that 40% is basically to mitigate or to cover any risk that might be related to fluctuations when it comes to the audit specifically. So as you know, we depend on, the proposals that are being submitted by vendors, and the prices there can vary. So in the case, for example, that we have requested a $30,000 budget, but it happens to be that we were not able to negotiate or we're not able to reach that budget with a vendor, but we have a reserve somewhere from previous year that we are able to tap into that reserve to match that, let's say that expense that was higher than what was budgeted, so that the audit component will continue as planned. So that is the reason for the egalisatiereserve. So the egalisatiereserve is not something that we as the Code of Audit came with. It was already something that was established in the Island Ordinance. So our questions is more in terms of are we complying with this of this item? And yeah, the discussion needs to take place, of course, at the Island Council, of course, to determine if it's something that you would like to continue with or not. But for so far, what we're doing is basically following up on it to make sure that when we report, that is also included. But that is, again, the discussion of whether it is in place or whether you want to continue having it in the future is something that is in the hands of the Island Council to determine, because it was stated in the Island Ordinance.
I think one of the questions was about the level of the Echalizat reserve as it is now. You say finance department has to actually determine that still. Yeah, so how much is in the reserve, whether it started back in 22 or whether you're going to start in 25. So at this moment, you don't know what you have in that reserve. Is that correct? That you can make use of.
Yes, reach out. We got a response from the Department of Finance, but it was not very, let's say, detailed when it comes to the reserve. So we are not sure whether there is a booking item with a reserve at the Department of Finance for the reserve. What we know is that they explained to us that whatever is a surplus will be taken for next budget year, but not a specific, let's say, reserve or a booking where it says this is a reserve for the Court of Audit. That we don't know.
All right, thank you. Commissioner, you want to add anything?
Okay. No. Mr. Chairman, I have the unit manager of finance on the phone, and has he explained that for 2021, 2, 3, and 4, we have not been in compliance with ensuring that the money has been reserved, but he said that it's going to be rectified in the annual accounts this year. That's what he said, right? The amount that is available on the budget, he don't have the amount that is left from 22, 3, and 4, you say you don't have that information at hand right now, the actual figure, but you'll provide that information. Will you provide it before the Island Council meeting on the 7th? When? Tomorrow's a holiday. You want to send it directly to the Fifi office, correct? Okay. Mr. Chairman, the unit manager said he can commit to Tuesday. Come in. He will send a memo to the island. I think that's the whole thing. Yeah. He will send a memo to the Island Council, and he will let you know of the amount that is in from 22, 23, and 24. And the plans of putting it rectifying it in the annual accounts for the reserve.
All right.
Would you like them to be in copy?
Chamber, they need to know.
Okay, I don't know if you guys want to. Okay.
They need to know what the reserve is.
Okay.
That's what they're saying in their report.
So then,
Okay, so by Tuesday, you're going to send it to the Island Council, and you will also copy to the Audit Chamber.
yeah. The unit manager committed he will send it directly. I'll ask him to copy the Island Secretary Office to ensure we have it on file as well. But he will send a memo to the Island Council, and then he'll copy also the Court of Audit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. All right, thank you. We will conclude our first round of deliberation at this point. So I will go into a second round of deliberation. Mr. Simmons.
Yes, just one comment. I didn't hear anything about the municipality correction. That needs to be public entity. And basically that's the only comment I have.
All right, thank you. Council Lady Spanner. Kati. Nothing? Okay. All right, I don't have any specific question at this time. So again, I give, well, let me start with Audit Chamber, right? Commissioner, you want to add anything now? Okay, then Audit Chamber, Mevrouw de Kort, I give you the word. Mevrouw de Kort, are you hearing me? You have the floor now.
Yes, I was not the connection was a bit off, but thank you again. We are going to take into account the comment about the municipality. Make sure that we refer to as a public entity, to use the right term as indicated by Council Member Simon. And yeah, I think from our side, I hope that we were able to cover everything in the annual report. And in the upcoming weeks or days, you can expect also the start of our new audit, which has already been confirmed. You will be receiving the Island Council as well and the Executive Council formal letter with the formal initiation of the audit, which is relates to the governance structure of the public entity. So you will be receiving a letter when this will start, but we wanted to inform you in advance. I don't know if my colleague Gerald and Keith, do you want to have a final word as well?
Mr. De Jong, anything from you?
Just thank you for the opportunity to present the annual report, and it's obviously good to see everybody again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Burkle.
I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Our thanks to the Central Committee for your time. Publishing this is another means of communicating what we do and what you do to the public and our role in with regards to governance. So thank you again for this opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. So that will commissioners, anything at this point?
I just welcome the new research. I think it's a very interesting one, and we're hoping to see that what we're planning to do and the research, how they align up together. So I think that's a nice research. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, members of the Audit Chamber, on this 5-year celebratory note, and we look forward to seeing your future reports and the announced audit as well for 2026. So thank you very much, and continue to do the good work you're doing on behalf of Statia. Have a good day further. Okay, we would like to thank the Commissioner and the Court of Audit, Mrs. De Korts and her team, Mr. Burkle and Mr. De Jong, for their presentation on the annual report 2025 of the Court of Audit. And question to the committee if they have been informed sufficiently regarding the Court of Audit Annual Report 2025 so that this can be forwarded to the Island Council for further action there. Well, I get no reaction, so I assume they are in accordance. You say yes? Thank you, council members of the committee. So that concludes our agenda for today on this Central Committee meeting for today. Yes. Okay, agenda point number 7, announcements from the Executive Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would like to make an announcement on behalf of my colleague, Commissioner Merkman. He will be starting an excursion work trip next week from I think mid-2nd. It was next week Monday. 1 minute. Anyhow, next week Monday, he will be on an excursion whereby he'll be visiting schools in the States, and they'll be signing 3 MOUs with 3 colleges. Whereby Statia would be able to get, certain in-state fees with 3 colleges, but he will provide more information as we get there. But just to let the council and the public know that he have made some good strides when it comes to that, and we will see the fruits of all those labors this week as they sign the MOUs with 3 different colleges. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Leardam. Then we go to agenda point number 9, which is closing. So we bring this meeting of the Central Committee for today, April 30, to a close. I want to thank all the participants and their teams, members, and for their presentations and active engagement during the meeting. Also extend gratitude to the Central Committee members, to the technical team for their support, and to everyone following us by radio and other online platforms. And with that, I hereby officially close this meeting of the Central Committee for today.